Yesterday, my son sent me a message saying that they've been told to use Uber just to be on the safe side because of these riots that are happening at the moment. When I heard this, it really made me feel very sad because here we are thinking that we are in the UK, we are part of the system, and we are contributing to the system, and yet when it comes to being treated, you are treated as someone who is not even welcome. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because when things go bad, it's always white versus everybody else who's non white. In this case, it's very clear that the attacks now are not just on Asians or a particular race, but they are on anyone who is non white. So let's talk about the issue of the passport. What if you have a passport? Now, when it comes to these protesters, they don't really care about what passport you hold because sometimes, as Zimbabweans who have now taken the British citizenship, it comes across as if it's a massive advantage, but in these type of situations, it's not. And when these attacks are happening, you could be innocently walking from work and bam, you are in these situations where you're being attacked. Or it could be even worse off, your daughter coming from school, or your wife coming from work, or your wife just going shopping. It is a very sad situation, and for this to be happening in a country like England, which is very tolerant, is very sad. And in my opinion, I don't see these things very soon. I mean, this may be the beginning. Because when we take a look at a capitalist society, it always gives more opportunities for the rich. So, in the end, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. So, in this case, it's very clear that a lot of economic problems happening in England. The food crisis, the prices are going high, inflation is high. These things always affect a bracket of the population, and this is the bracket that normally goes out there and makes a lot of noise. So, who knows what's going to happen in 5, 10, 15 years. And my main worry is imagine someone is retired and you're living by yourself or you're living as a family but retired and these attacks starts happening. And as we know, our communities as Zimbabweans, they're very weak. You know, we see this time and time again. The only time you get to see a lot of Zimbabweans together is when you have these events like Zimfest. Apart from that, everyone is in their own little bubble. So there isn't really that community where people are together and working together and so on. So it's a very, very scary situation when it comes to retirement and where you have to live alone. So I know at a time where the idea of the British passport was so amazing. But in this case, we can see that it doesn't really matter. It's just a piece of paper that allows you to travel easy, but to be really white with the British passport, they don't see you as that. When I say they, I'm talking about the general masses, the ones who are protesting. They don't see you as that. They don't see you as one of them. So this now brings me to this point where I've always said this to my children that yes, you may have the British passport, but your identity is very, very important. And I'm really glad that they look back at Zimbabwe and start looking at opportunities here and see themselves as Zimbabweans and not British. I'm not saying there's something wrong with being British, but I'm just saying, as a sense of identity, they can connect with a lot more people here. They have uncles, they have aunties, grandmothers, so that in itself is something that I really wanted to build from a very young age. And I'm glad that they have that sense of identity. Because if you are being attacked and yet all this time you've been feeling like you're a part of the system, you're a part of the British society, it is even more devastating because at that point, where do you run to? Because all this time you're living under the false pretense of you're part of a group of people that embrace you. Now, I'm not here saying that the British people are bad and they're all painted with the same brush, but I'm talking about when things go wrong, that small minority is the one that causes a lot of problems. So in this case, it's a small group of people that messes it up for everybody else. But at the end of the day, when you're attacked, when acid is poured on you, or when you're dead, that logic goes out of the window. And this is the point I'm trying to put across. So I would say, if you can, just have a plan B. Try and have a little piece of land here, even in Zimbabwe or wherever you are in Africa, for you to, go to when things really get crazy. Because, as I mentioned earlier on, capitalism is a very, very brutal system. If you are part of those with money, you'll continue getting more money. So the more the poor are going to get poorer, they're going to get more and more upset, and they're going to blame their failure on immigrants. We see this happening in South Africa as well. And this is even black on black. So to think that this will never happen in England, it's absolutely crazy. But on the bright side, I don't see these riots really getting way out of hand. I think these are just the initial phases. Probably the army will get involved and they will restore order. But my point is, yeah, when things really get difficult, sometimes you're better off in a country where things are not working so well, but at least there's a peace. So just having that plan B, in my opinion, is a very good thing to do. Anyway, I'd like to hear your thoughts. What do you think about this situation? And yeah, what have you experienced so far wherever you are? Let me know in the comments box below. Anyway, guys, thank you very much, and I'll speak to you soon.